Hey guys, this is week 3 of our quarantine distance learn social distance dance thing stuff tech class. This is our also our third week working on music editing via online classes, and as you can see on my screen, we are exploring a new software this time. Not new, it's been around for a while, but new to us. And I say us because I haven't used Reaper much before, but it has a ton of, basically, it does pretty much everything that most of the professional DAWs do, digital audio workstation, DAWs. Um, like Logic that I use, like Pro Tools that a lot of pros use, like all of the other ones that I'm not going to name right now because I can't remember them. So we first off, get yourself a copy of Reaper by following the link that I put in the classroom assignment. Or you can go to reaper.fm/download.php. This is where you want to download it from. If um, Eli, you're going to want to download the 64-bit version because more recent iOS, or not iOS, Mac OS computers need 64-bit programs. Girls, you're probably going to want the 64-bit versions, but double check and use whatever version is recommended for your computer. All right, so get those downloaded, get them installed. If you already do, awesome, you're ahead of the curve. And let's get started on our assignment this week. So we are going to be exploring Reaper through making our movies music medley. So I updated the music cuts list to include the cuts for this. This is a not shorter time wise by a lot, but shorter song wise than both of the other medleys that we've done so far. So it hopefully will be a little bit faster to put together. Also, Reaper is so much nicer to use than Audacity. And we'll get into all of the reasons why. I think you guys are going to really enjoy using Reaper, especially because you had to use Audacity first. So, as these load, so I want to. So, this is something that Reaper specifically is going to ask, and most DAWs are going to ask. Audacity doesn't, because don't worry about it. But it asks if we want to insert multiple media items on a separate tracks or sequentially on a single track. We want separate tracks because remember, we're going to want to have a separate track for each one of our songs that we're cutting. If you had, say, multiple audio files that were parts of a single song that you wanted one after the other, like maybe you've already made the cut of the song, but it's in there's a lot of reasons why you might want to import something sequentially on a single track. We're not going to do that here, but separate tracks. Okay, while this is loading, I had something I wanted to say. So there are a lot of differences between Reaper and Audacity, and as we go, you're going to find that a lot of the key combinations that you learned for Audacity, maybe learned, maybe not. Error creating project file, project not saved. Oh, let's save project as movies music medley. I want to put this in my tech production. Boom, replace. There we go. Now it'll save. It did that because I changed the name of the folder that I had previously saved this file in, and Reaper went in and said, that directory isn't there because I renamed the folder, and it was looking for the old name of the folder. Anyway, computers. So there are a few really big differences that you're going to see as we work. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is the fact that Reaper does not destructively edit files. So if remember in Audacity how if we cut a track down, it's like that forever. That part that we cut off is gone and you can't just get it back. So with Reaper, if I say select, and let's see if I remember how to select. There we are. There are a few ways you can do this, but if I select this say here, and then paste it on a new track down here. Well, sometimes it just does that too. Let's get back to the top and get this down to a manageable size. There we go. So if I select this, now let's see if you want to just copy that part. Nope. Oh, that's right. Reaper needs Apple Shift C. Ah, there we go. So that's one difference there, is that in Reaper, the key combinations are different. I can't just type Apple C to copy a section that I highlighted, or Command C. You see there's a copy. There's also copy within time selection, or Command Shift C. So I'm going to be relearning a lot of key commands, and enjoy watching me stumble through this relearning process. But anyway, I have this copy right here. So this track, if I solo it, we hear the beginning of the
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen for myself.
And at the end of
9 to 5.
hey, somehow I found the end of the phrase. But if I wanted more, I can actually just drag the last part of this,
9 to 5. Working 9 to 5.
and I can recover parts that I've cut off. So this that's because this program is it's reading the material in the source files, the MP3s that, or the audio files that we loaded into this project, and it's referencing those instead of like making a new file. And we don't have to get into the super technical aspects, because I'm probably wrong about a lot of the things I might say about that, because I did not code this or any of the other DAWs. But suffice to say, it's non-destructive, so it's so much more forgiving to work with. Okay, so let's get this in order. We're going to make, and as we make this, we're going to kind of stumble through parts and pieces of this show. So for expediency's sake, I know we've gone through all of the steps of putting together a medley, cutting together a medley. So we're mostly going to be talking about the different ways to do things in Reaper, throwing this medley together quickly, and then going on to the different ways to master in Reaper, how to use those, the condenser, not condenser, that's a microphone. My brain's going to catch up at some point. How to, I'll remember names as we go. But like I showed in Logic in the last video, where all of the tracks get routed through for the output, how to slap a compressor on that, and possibly a limiter, more likely a compressor, just because it works a little easier with these files, and we're not super concerned with going lossless in all of this. Those are terms that we can talk through later if you have questions. And then we, depending on how much time we have, either in this class we'll start looking at how to take the finished practice track that we've made and how to integrate instrumental tracks that might not perfectly match up with the practice track that we've made. Actually, almost definitely won't perfectly match up with the practice track that we've made, and how to use those to create a show track that perfectly matches the beats and the keys and the timing of our practice track, so that our performers don't have to adjust their performance based on which track we're using, and so that in the event of needing to cover for a singer, needing to supplement our singers with a little extra sound, some background vocals, basically a kind of sweetener. Sweetener is a term for pre-recorded vocals that you fade up to kind of uh, help out to fill out the sound of the singers on stage who are singing live. In this case, it would be the entire track, but how to make a track that you can use that in shows to kind of bolster your sound a little bit without throwing off everything because it's not perfectly synced up. Okay, so let's get started. We have everything in order, and I'm going to fly through this as fast as I can, but I'm going to stop and break down how I'm doing any things that are new in Reaper or different. So first thing, and I'm going to keep my time codes off here on my secondary screen. So I have Reaper up here and then other stuff over here. Hopefully that didn't give you vertigo. And but just because it's easier for me to reference there. So Men in Black, we are also, these songs are hilarious. I love it. So I want to grab from the beginning of Men in Black to 1 minute and 1 second, and which is right about here ish. So we can see first off where we can find our time codes. First, if we look up here, and I don't have a great way of zooming in, that's okay. If we look up here in the top middle of the screen, this entire time bar has time tickers on it, or time divisions. Now it has the bigger numbers that are on top, those are bar and frame divisions. So those, excuse me, those tell us if we are recording a song and we have set the project tempo and the project time signature and gets into a little more music theory-y stuff, but that will tell us like what measure we're on and what beat we're on, and helps us divide a track as we record. In this case, we won't be using that because we don't really need to sync the track's timing up with the timing of our songs. Everything is already recorded, and we're not using any sort of click track or editing in that way to make our song. So instead of doing that, we're going to use the markings right under it. That's the time markings. And so right here, I can see this is 56 on this big line, and this is 104. Right about here is probably around 101. And then I look down here. This tells us our current playhead position. Wow, I'm losing words. This shows us our current playhead position, which is currently at 1 minute and 1 second. Hey, I'm good. Or I was looking at that before I explained it. Okay, so to select this, now this is where Reaper gets really different. There are key combinations to use in conjunction with your mouse. It's gonna take a little bit to get used to. You guys will probably pick up on it faster than me because I am old and I have very thoroughly learned Logic, at least what I have done so far with Logic. So I'm going to be stumbling on this a lot. But to select this, we can either go up here where you see that our cursor turns into what you see in a cursor in a text editor when you're selecting where you're going in, in like a Word document. And you can select up here, or you can go to the track itself, and you can hold command and right click to select. So in this case, I'm going to go back to 101. I'm going to hold that, drag, copy, and then I'm going to go down here into a new track, and I did it again. I'm going to select this. I'm going to not just copy, but copy within time selection, or Apple Shift C or Command Shift C, and then I'm going to come back down here. Now you can skip to the beginning of the piece by pressing W, and then paste. There we go. And because I didn't have a new track selected, it just created a new track. That's cool. I didn't know it would do that. All right, so now we're going to find our next cut, and it's another part of Men in Black, 207 to 228. So we're going to scroll over. Now here's another new thing. scrolling in this, I haven't figured out uh, how to scroll up and down with my scroll wheel. When I scroll up, it zooms in. When I scroll down, it zooms out, which is really useful. I'm just not used to it yet. Also, the lateral scrolling is opposite of what I'm used to. These are just things that I'm complaining about barely. You'll probably be totally fine with them, and if you're using a trackpad, then all of that's probably moot. Uh, I wonder. Yeah, yeah, trackpad works exactly how you would expect it to. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go over and find our 207. Bada boom. No, there. Close enough. And then 207 to 228. Now, this is a cool thing. Look at my cursor. You see a box there that says start 206, end 228, length 22 seconds. So that's another way to make it really easy to see how long of a section you're selecting. Um, this really gives you a lot of tools to help in your selection process. Okay, Command Shift C to get that. Um, yeah, lateral and paste. And it looks like, hey, it just worked. That is just peachy keen. Okay, we now 324 to 346. You'll notice, oh, I did it again. Nope, not that. Shift. 324 to 346. Yep. Command, right click, 346, which is the end of the piece. All right. And then we're going to come back over here and shift copy and paste. Booyah. All right. This is where this lateral or lack of lateral, or not lateral, longitudinal, horizontal, up and down scroll is going to be really annoying. That's okay. I will persevere. So I have my Men in Black sections cut. Now I'm going to grab my 9 to 5, which is 0 to 1 minute 1 second. 101. Hey, that looks kind of familiar. Oh, nope. 1 minute and 10 seconds. I was reading the Men in Black time. 110. Command, right click, drag, select U, Apple Shift C, and paste. Beautiful. Then we have 17 to 127 for What is Love. 12, 14, yeah, 16 to 1, not 116, 16, or 117, whatever. 2, 127, close enough. Now this is where I did it again. Oh, no, I did copy. I didn't copy anything. Okay, let's grab that again. Apple Shift C and paste. There we are. Okay, and then our last thing is going to be, oh, 2 cuts. 0 to 40 of Greatest Showman. So again, I find 40. I command click drag, or I could go up here and say drag from 40 back to here. I click on the track so I make sure that's highlighted. Then I either command Shift C or I copy within time selection with Greatest Showman cast, And when I scroll over here, place the playhead at the end of What is Love, and paste by either saying paste or Command V, boom, it's right there. Then we have one more to get, and that is 207 to 427. Let's find 207 right about here. 206 to, I believe 427 is the end of the piece. Yep. Did it again. Apple Shift C and paste. And there we go. We have everything copied. All right. Let's get this all in a viewable portion. Good. Sweet. So now let's start getting these to work together. All right, I want to mute all of these files. Now, I wonder, can I select all of them? Hey, it's wonderful working in like a user-friendly DAW because there are things that you can do. So let's talk about some of the things that we just did and why they worked a lot nicer. First, and this is something that Logic doesn't do, but when so we'll walk through the process of what we did and what was different. So selecting parts of this took maybe a little bit more work than Audacity because we couldn't just click on the track with our selector tool, drag, and select. But just a small change of either holding Command and right click dragging, or clicking up here to drag, that's not too big of a difference. The next, hey, I forgot to turn off notifications before I started filming this. So, clicking and dragging, not too big of a change and not too difficult of a change to make. For reference, in Logic, if you want to select part of a track, you also have to hold a key and drag, because just clicking and dragging on a selection or on a track would just move that track around, which we would have to choose a different tool in Audacity to do. So in this case, we had to hold Command and then right click and drag. So a little bit of a change, but not too bad. So now when we've gotten our selection, to copy just that selection in Audacity, just hitting copy copies that selection. In Reaper, we have to choose copy within time selection. So either choosing that from the edit drop-down menu or hitting Shift Command C. So again, not too big of a change. A little more intensive, but once you learn the key combos, it all flows so much faster. Then pasting works just the same with the, well, I guess not a change from Audacity, a change from Logic. What I'm used to is in a more robust DAW, if you have no track currently selected as where you want to paste, if you try pasting, it'll just paste it in a new track. So that's pretty cool. And Audacity did that as well. But the big difference is here we have all of this possibility to play with because, say it with me, Reaper is non-destructive. Yes! That really is my favorite thing. I'm so much happier using this already. Okay, also this gives you a little view into how much faster it is to work with a DAW like this, a non-destructive DAW, and a DAW that is a lot more user-friendly than Audacity. Like I said before, I think you guys are going to really enjoy working in this. Okay, so now we have these together. What's our next step? Oh, also, sorry, the last thing that was different is if we place the playhead somewhere and hit paste, it pastes from the beginning of that playhead onto the new track. So no longer do we paste, find it at the beginning of the piece, drag it over to where it fits with the rest. It's just there where we paste it. Again, so nice. Okay, and One other thing that I just demonstrated before I went on this entire talk on the differences between Reaper and Audacity, if I select a number of tracks, say all of these guys, and click mute, it will mute and unmute all of them together. Same with soloing. So I can solo multiple tracks and unsolo them, or I can mute multiple tracks and unmute them at the same time, which is so much less time intensive. This really, it saves you so much time being able to do batch controls, choosing a bunch of different things, and then boom, having one selection work for all of them. I'm so happy working in this. Okay, so let's mute all of our parent tracks, our reference tracks, and let's go back to here, back to the top by pressing or clicking at the beginning or pressing W. So we have Men in Black, the beginning. And make sure this isn't too loud. It's good for you guys. Hopefully it's good for me. Okay. So, first off, a couple things. If we look down here in the bottom left-hand corner, this lovely thing is our mixer track, or is our master track. Sorry. This entire thing down here. Oh, what was that? Plus zooms in, hey, and minus zooms out. That's fine. I just bumped the numpad on my keyboard. Okay, so down here, this entire bottom area is our mixer. This is a really, really nice tool to have when you're mixing pieces together, because this each one of these separate things, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of these rectangles are each a separate track that's represented up here. So where we see the audio files in the waveforms above, we see the mixers like we would on a console, kind of like I showed in Logic last lesson, down here. So down here, we can, as we're playing, we can adjust the volume of each of these. We can, if we want, mute or solo them. We can also change their routing, which, oh, this is just wonderful. We'll look at that later. But all of these things, and we can also adjust their inputs. In this case, we're just loading audio tracks onto these audio files, so we don't need inputs per se. But if we were recording, this is set to take in an audio input from whatever we choose our audio device to be. Oh, we can also record the output. What? Guys, Reaper is awesome. Okay, so let's see. So here, oh, that's how you enable record monitoring. So we're not going to get into all of that right now. First, let's get these pieces cut together. So this is at a good level. I want to select up here. Also want to get that thing just out of the way. It's not doing anything. It's just kind of in the way. All right, let's zoom in. That's actually not bad, not having to press a key combo to zoom. Having the reverse scroll is annoying though. So right here, let's listen to the music. Saw something strange, watch your back, 'cause you never quite know where the MIBs is at. Oh, also, before we go too far into that, I want to make sure that I'm not blasting your ears with this. I have adjustable headphone level through my audio interface that I use here, so I'm safe. But let me, I'm going to work a little backwards from how we did in Audacity. This is another great thing about how different Reaper is from Audacity, because right over here in our master track, look at this FX box right here. If you click that, that brings up adding FX or effects to the master track. And what we want to search for is actually what kind of, yeah, we want to look for compressor. So there are a bunch of different compressors. I haven't played with all of these. I'm gonna say we probably want either just 1175 compressor or express bus compressor. I'm going to try, actually I tried the 1175 before. Let's see what express bus does. And we're going to take the, so this brings up a window. This is our express bus compressor control window for our master track. So what we just did is we put a compressor, which in Logic was the compressor window that I pulled up that I put on my output track. Here we have it on our master track, which functions similarly. For the sake of this right now, we're going to say it functions just about the same. We can go more in depth in that later, but this is like the compressor effect that we applied to our exported track after we exported it in Audacity. But with the difference that we can apply this at the very beginning to our master track, and that's going to just sit over everything that we play throughout this entire editing process. So it makes your listening so much easier and a lot just kinder on your ears as you're listening. Sometimes I do this at the beginning, sometimes I wait a little bit longer. Usually I do it fairly early on because I'm not listening super closely for audio quality, because I know these tracks are all already mastered, they're already mixed, and they're produced so that they sound the best they're going to sound. So I'm just putting this on to keep them from blasting my ears when 2 or 3 are layered over each other. Okay, we're going to take the threshold down to -1. Ratio we'll put at 2. And let's see, oh, and knee soft. Let's go with that. I'm going to try those parameters. Play around with this a little bit and see what you like. The different things here and what they do. Threshold is where it like the ceiling of how loud it wants to or it's going to allow it to get. So I want to bring that down just a little bit, just because I find that's easier in my experience running sound for our shows. That -1, -2 is like a really happy medium. 0 is fine, but all of these are decibels or amounts of loudness. The ratio is how, when the compressor effect does click on and starts to scale down the decibel or the loudness of the audio, how quickly it scales it down. So 1 would mean it's moving it down at a fairly slow rate. 2 would be a faster rate. 3, 4, you can go all the way up to 20-to-1 ratio. So these are all ratios: 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 20-to-1. So it makes a, is that an exponential curve? Is that a logarithmic? I'm not sure what kind of curve that is. I haven't taken math class in a while. Gain. This with this we can pre-adjust how loud or soft the sound gets after the compressing. So if we wanted to put it on a thing and then use this gain to adjust the level, we can. We don't need to. The knee is how quickly it attacks that compressing effect. So if I have a hard knee, then if a sound gets loud in a piece, it's going to go, well, bring it down really fast. If I have a soft knee and a louder sound comes up, it goes, go, come on, let's quiet down. Okay, then we can come back when it's over. So it's hard knee is more often used when there's like really abrupt, really loud sounds. In this case, where we just want to kind of keep the levels about the same, we want a soft knee because we don't want any really obvious compressing. This is just helping us out, easing the road. Then detector input normal or sidechain is when you have a compressor on one track, and for a sidechain, it's detecting not that track's output, but another track's output. So say I have an audio track that's the background music while a singer is singing, and I want it to come down a little bit whenever the singer gets loud. Um, Now, this isn't exactly how you do it because there's a lot of other variables in there that doesn't make this ideal. But anyway, if I just want this track to come down when this track gets loud, I put a side chain on the compressor in this track that moves it over. I don't know why I'm pantomiming this with my hands when I have an entire screen of actual tracks to gesture to. So, say I want Men in Black to get quieter whenever 9 to 5 gets louder. I could put a compressor on Men in Black that side chains to 9 to 5. See that detector input side chain? And let's just look. If I click sidechain, then there will be another in that track. I'll also select the sidechain track, but that'll allow me to choose another track that it detects. So when that sidechained track gets loud, it would compress this original track. Anyway, uh, automatic makeup, I haven't looked into what that is. Detection, peak, RMS, long. Basically, peak looks for the loudest of the sound. RMS is the kind of the not median, but the mean, the average of the sound. And then detection, source, feed forward, or feedback. Actually, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. There's more for all of us to learn. Okay, anyway, we have our master track, we have our compressor on it, our ears are safe, ideally. Um, I haven't told you what a master track is. You've probably surmised by now, but this master track is just like in our on our soundboard that we were working on. The master track is where the audio from every single one of these oh, I can drag that around. But where the audio from every one of these tracks feeds to that master track. So if you think of it physically, all of the sound is, I'm gesturing again, but all of the sound is going from this track into that track, this track into that track, and then here it's all brought together and then outputted to whatever the output is. In this case, it's outputting to my headphones and outputting to my recording device. In other cases, it would be outputting to when we record, it'll be, or when we master the track, when we export, it'll be outputting to that exported file. Okay, I think I've covered most of the things that you see on this, most of the things that we're going to be using right now that you see on the screen. Now, let's get these tracks lined up. So,
fingerprints. Saw something strange, watch your back, cause you never quite know where the MIBs is at.
Okay. So let's find this.
Fingerprints. Your back, cause you never quite know where the MIBs is at.
So I'm just gonna do this also. There we go. So
Know where the MIBs is at.
Here, boom, 2, 3, 4, right, is the okay. Now I love being able to extend that. Now what I can do is I can use this waveform to line up what I want to use here. So let's listen to this one and see where I want to start this. And we'll go back here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Let me see you.
Okay. So right here, this is the beat that I want to line up. And
Quite know where the MIBs is at.
this is a beat that I want to line up. I think I forgot where that last one was, but also, first, let me see. Snap grid. Whoop. All right, snap grid. that's cool. Auto crossfade media items when editing. Snap grid settings. Show grid. We're going to enable snapping as. Actually, I don't want snapping. I want to try this without. Let's see what happens there. There we go. Okay. So that's a setting that you're going to want to enable most likely. Is, where'd you go? Snap grid settings, which was in under option. Yep, options, snap grid settings, or just enable snapping. So what that does is, let me turn it back on. You see how when I drag this, it skips from line to line, or from little box to little box. So that's what we call snapping. That it has all of these, I'm gesturing again, all of these vertical lines that are going across up and down on this are all beats. Remember we talked about the bar divisions and the beat divisions up here and the tick divisions. So when you snap, it automatically sets the beginning of a track or a selections spot when we move it to one of these beats or one of these divisions. Or optionally to match up exactly with the end of another track or the beginning of another track. That can be helpful when you're recording a song and you have the tempo of the track and the all of those settings mapped exactly to what you want the song to be. In our case, we don't. So I want to go up here to Options, Snap, Enable Snapping. I want to disable that. So now I can drag this. I can drag this to exactly where I want. Now if I zoom in, you see how easy it is to see those waveforms. And I want to line these up. There we go. So now let's listen to this transition.
There's no names and no fingerprints. Saw something strange, watch your back, cause you never quite know where the MIBs is at. Let me see you just bounce.
Okay. So you almost couldn't tell that it was two tracks overlaid, except if you know the song, you know it doesn't go like that. So that means that we have the timing right. We also chose the right part of the song. So part of this is listening to the song and finding where it makes sense to cut from one bit to another. If I say I could make it line up beats-wise.
There's no names and no fingerprints. Saw something strange, watch your back, cause you never quite know where the MIBs is at. Let me see you just.
Let's see, is
you just bounce.
There, bounce is where the next section starts. So if I did this and moved this back and moved this back to there, then technically
quite know where the MIBs is at. See you just bounce it with.
Sorry, to here.
Never quite know where the MIBs is at. Just bounce it with me, just bounce with me, just bounce.
So technically it fits, but that's not the exact times that I was given, and it doesn't give. I know that was kind of a really abrupt spacing, but listen to it one more time this way.
Something strange, watch your back, cause you never quite know where the MIBs. Let me see you just bounce it with me, just bounce with me, just bounce it with.
So musically it kind of makes sense, but the voices are overlapping. And if I have actual singers on who are going to be singing this, a singer can't like sing two things at once. So I want to give them just a little more space to kind of get into that next piece of music. Also, this is just consideration. this song was for younger kids to dance to and sing to, and so anytime you can give them like an extra bar to get ready and know that a transition is happening in the music, so much the better. Performers always appreciate when they have lead in music and they don't just have to start right at the beginning of something. Okay, so I'm going to undo all of those little demonstration things that I did. Move it back. There we go.
Something strange, watch your back, cause you never quite know where the MIBs is at. And
3, 5, 6.
so let me see you just bounce it with me, just bounce with me.
So I gave them after the MIBs is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me see you just 8. So a full 2 bars or 8 counts to get in. That's usually a good amount of time, and musically it makes sense. So now let me pull this back a little bit, pull this up a little bit, and let's see how that sounds.
Cause you never quite know where the MIBs is at. Let me see you just bounce.
Okay, cool. That cut makes sense. Now, how do we crossfade this? I'm legitimately asking. Okay, so anytime I'm using a new program, the help tab is so useful. All right, let's say, nope. You know what else is useful? Google. Let's see. And come on. So if we want to fade, looks like Reaper gives us options right here to fade. Haha! How cool is that? So let's look at this. On the end, oh, it looks like there's already a little bit of automatic fading in and fading out that it does. So right here, look at my cursor right now. So right here, it has an arrow that's facing both ways and a little curve. So that is a tool that will allow me to change the length of the track. If I move it up to the top corner or down to the bottom corner, nope, looks like just up to the top corner, it changes to, let's see, can you see it there? Now it looks like a little arc, almost like half of a protractor with arrows on either side. This is our fade tool. So if I click and drag from here, you see this little red curve I can bring in to here. And the fade in, I can do the same thing over here. So let's listen to what I just did.
MIBs is at.
Okay, okay. That did a little something, that helped. Now let's try fading this in a little more.
MIBs is at.
So there's a little bit of weirdness happening, right?
MIBs is at.
So, and it sounds like that's in this track. It's coming in a little further than I want it to.
MIBs is at.
Okay, let me spread this out a little more.
MIBs is at.
There we go. So what I did right there was I noticed that I'm scrolling the wrong way again. I noticed that there was kind of an incongruity with the background sound in both of the tracks. This one down here had some sounds that weren't totally present in the track up here, and this one had a lot of instrumental other sounds that weren't present in the track down here.
Quite know where the MIBs is at.
So if I fade this in a little more gradually down here and fade this out a lot more gradually up here, we don't really notice the disappearing sounds and the appearing sounds because it sounds like they're happening naturally. If they're abrupt, then that's when you hear, oh, this is a cut. And we want to, we want people to have no idea how many cuts we put in a track. When people listen to the tracks in our shows, all they know is that we go from song to song to song. They don't know that there are 5 different parts in this one song, and it took however long that it took to make. And that's exactly what we want. Okay, so we've used, to line up these 2 tracks, we used our waveforms to line them up. Goodness, am I having a stroke? We're using these waveforms to line them up really accurately. And actually, I can nudge this just a little bit to make it even better. You're never perfect, even when you think you are. Then we used our fade tool that's up in the top corner. Well, we used our trimming tool to lengthen or shorten this track to make... okay, we're good. To lengthen or shorten it to where we want the track to end or start. And then we use the upper top-hand corner, or wherever this red line is, to use our fade tool to fade it as far as we want. Now, if we want this to be more abrupt fade, so listen to it once here.
MIBs is at,
Okay, that was fairly long fade. Now, if I want this fade to be a little more abrupt, but still take the... Oh, are you not going to do this for me? Aha! So if I right-click on the fade, it gives me a few different options. I can make it a linear fade, just a steady getting quieter. Right now, it's a convex fade. It's gradually getting quieter and faster, or gradually getting quieter and then really quiet. So it kind of trails off the way you would trail off, a natural sound if something was going away from you. Think like Doppler effect. Physics. Look that up. It's a cool thing. And then down here we have a convex, or another concave entrance fade in, which gets louder a little bit faster, and then it kind of slows how loud it gets so that you don't notice it quite as abruptly. It's just a little more natural sounding curve. You can make it a more abrupt fade in and fade out convex. You can also make it kind of an S shape, so it's like fading in a little bit really fast and then levels off. Try everything out. See what works best for every tool is there because there's an occasion when it's needed. Okay, we are about 52 minutes in and we've only gotten 2 of these put together. I'm gonna see how quickly I can go through the rest of them, and actually, you know what? No, I'm probably gonna do the rest off screen, and I'm gonna have this finished and ready to make our instrumental track using this same project next class. So, and to give you a taste of that, we'll get to that in a sec. So for this week's assignment, I want you to get into this project, make your project with these song files, use the cuts that I put in the music cuts list, make your track, which in this case should be really fast. Make sure that you put the compressor on your master track here so that we don't have any big changes in volume. And give it a listen through and make sure that everything is audible, because there are some really quiet tracks here.
I close my eyes and I can see.
You can see it's only getting up to about -18, -19 decibels, so we might want to actually bring up the volume in this track a little bit. But give it a listen and see what makes the most sense. And so edit together this medley. When you are done with that, done editing it, go up to File, there we go. Nope. Not render. I would think it's export, but let's see. Oh, you can export project MIDI. That's cool. Yep. So we want to let's see. If I want to export in Reaper, okay, so just to be safe, oh, it is render. Great. So I'm going to select all of my tracks that are a part of this. I'm going to go to File, Render, then Source Master Mix. Actually, yeah, we don't even need to select all the files. So just go to Render, Master Mix, Bounds, entire project is okay. You could also, oh, duh. 1 second. Is there a, no. Interesting. Project end. Nope. Anyway. Render. Master mix. Bounds. Say, okay, because we did select all of these files, because we only want this rendered audio file to be the length of our song and not a whole bunch of extra time tacked on to the end. We want to select all of our tracks, which I believe will select, oh, will it not? Yeah. Let's do this just for safety's sake. We're going to select all of our tracks. We are going to go to Render, File, Render. We're going to say Master Mix, Bounds, Selected Regions. File name can be whatever you want it. Directory is going to be where you want it to export to. So I'm going to browse and put it in the same directory as my save file here. And everything else should be good. Oh, and format, I want this to be an MP3 just for the sake of size. All right. And save changes and close. Open render queue. Well, let's see what happens. That's interesting. Okay, you know what? We're going to try this instead. Consolidate export tracks. Say selected tracks. Length is, it says 7 minutes 11 seconds. Entire length of the project is, yeah, that. All right. And consolidate to MP3. Okay, so we went to File, Consolidate Tracks, Entire Project, Selected Tracks. We'll see. Consolidate to MP3, and then it's going to where I want it to go to. Do not update project with consolidated files. Let's see what happens. Sometimes this takes a little while. So we're gonna see what this does. Obviously, exporting songs or exporting audio files in Reaper is a little different than I'm used to in Logic and different from Audacity. Anyway, thank you guys for kind of being with me as I fumble through learning Reaper and teaching you guys. So this, it may be a little more to take in on the front end. Now let's go over and see how that came out. I'm gonna find my corner of the sky, center stage, tech production, movie music medley, and all of those are separate files. Cool.
My bees, government list.
Yep. Okay. So that didn't work how I meant it to. Let's try this one more time. Oh, bounce. Guys, sometimes the answer is staring you straight in the face and you have no idea. And then you try a couple other things and then you find it and feel like a complete idiot. Like if it were a snake, it would have bit me. Okay, so save live output to disk. This is what we want. Because our live output is the master output, our directory we're going to find right there. Movie music medley. Boom. Shoot. Yeah, movie music medley. Okay. Yep, there we go. Render 2, right there. Output format, I want MP3 for this. And we're good to go. Start. And looks like it's... Is it done already? Holy cow, that was fast. Nope, didn't do it. Is it still rendering? It might still be rendering. Oh, there we go. It's completed. And if we pull this up, oh, well, nope, that wasn't it. Because that would bounce whatever the output was when I played it to that. Okay. Guys, I'm going to figure this out really, really quickly, and I'm going to show you how to and this is going to be great. And export project Reaper to single file. So anyway, sorry about this wait. Sorry about the if you want to fast forward, or honestly, once I figure this out, I'm going to come on. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna include the instructions in that on the the class file, because I can't see the right way to do this. Oh, hold on. Selected regions. Where did I tell this MP3? Lame. Nope. Nope. That wasn't the issue. Yep. No. I'll have to figure this out and let you guys know. Anyway, I might even cut the last 10 minutes of this out of the video. Probably not, though. Guys, have a great week. Finish your tracks. In the class assignment, I will give you instructions on how to export your file. And I want you to finish this medley, export it to an MP3, and then upload that to the Google Drive that I linked in the assignment. Next week, I'm going to have some instrumental tracks for you to download, and we are going to turn this medley into an instrumental only medley as a backing track or a show track for performance, and how to line it up exactly with our current project. Guys, have an awesome week. Let me know, comment below when you get through this, when you're done with the video. Comment in the class assignment, and let me know if you have any questions, if you have any issues with this, or if you have any requests of like other stuff you'd like to do. We're going to be doing the instrumental tracks because I asked in one of the, I think the last class, if you guys wanted it, and recently said yes, so we're gonna do it. All right, guys, have an awesome week. Love you all. See you next week.